Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
How's it going? So, I suffer from severe environmental allergies. I don't have food allergies. I really just am allergic to a lot of weather conditions, pollen, and animals as well. And some of my symptoms include runny nose, constantly congested, and inflamed sinuses. And then on the severe side, coughing and even asthma. And I never had them as a kid, but I started getting them around my early 20s. Well, actually, I did have some of them as a kid, but I didn't have asthma. That's for sure. That was developed. So little by little, I've been kind of going through a journey of dealing with it, and it's been really painful sometimes. I can't even sleep, but I've finally gotten to a point where I'm at least somewhat able to survive and live kind of a normal life, but it's only after doing so many things to mitigate it and to prevent and try to even treat it. And I just kind of want to make this video to give some advice on, for others that are probably suffering from the same thing and they don't know what to do, where to start, or how to begin, protecting themselves, or even taking care of their bodies a little bit more. And I still am on this journey. I still suffer from allergies, but I've definitely made a huge improvement. I don't know if you can tell, I'm kind of congested right now, but yeah. So without further ado, let me list my top tips for allergies. Yeah. So one of the main things for sure is buying rags. Helps a lot instead of going through tissues which have bleach, and the bleach is just isn't good for you to be inhaling and getting all over your skin. So a rag is much better. So Amazon, just buy some handkerchiefs, some rags, use them. That's a quick one. Now this is obviously not really too preventative. It's more of cleaning up the mess, I guess you could say. But yeah, so there's that one. Handkerchiefs. Another one that I like to do is gonna be, I'll do masks. Makes it a little bit easier. So I like masks because they're kind of accepted a little bit more after COVID. And in worst case, if anyone asks you, it's like, oh, I just have allergies, so, or I'm not feeling too well. So it makes it a little bit easier, just having a runny nose and walking around in public. And if you really want, you can even put the handkerchief behind it. And it kind of looks a little stupid, but whatever, who cares? It's better than having like a runny nose, But you can stuff it in there, and it helps like capture all the mucus just a little bit better. So these are really just for managing it, but now some stuff to kind of help alleviate it. So I've done a lot of research, and I am going to enter a phase where I'm going to try changing my diet to help reduce it. But one thing that immediately made a big difference is dairy. Try to not drink milk, and if you do, maybe almond milk. Oat milk is perfectly fine, but avoid dairy products. It tends to cause your nose to run a lot more. So as soon as you cut out milk and even a few other dairy products, you'll see an improvement. So that's I guess the third one. Another one is going to be these little Vicks nose things, or I don't know, they're basically like essential oils, and usually they have like mint or something in them. And you can get them on Amazon, anywhere else, and you just inhale them. It can help clear your sinuses. Helps a bit, but obviously you have to kind of babysit, but it can just help, alleviate it and get some air flowing to your brain. So this is really helpful. The next thing is going to be Vicks Vapor Rub. Hopefully I'll put up a little picture here. Ding. Vicks Vapor Rub. Before I go to bed, all over my neck, chest, lungs, even like on your face right here for your sinuses. I don't know if you know, but your sinuses are located like right here. If you look at a mapping, there's like cavities right here. And that will help me sleep a lot better. So Vicks Vapor Rub are another alternative product. There's plenty of them. That helps a lot and allows the breathing as well. The other thing is going to be an inhaler. Ding, right here. Unfortunately for this one, it's a little tougher. You got to get this prescribed. But it's an inhaler. That's really what we want to do. And this will help you breathe and help you sleep at night. If you can't catch your breath, because, I really don't know why you're unable to via your mouth, but your nose obviously is going to be inflamed, so you can't breathe through it perfectly. So we got to breathe through our mouth. Unfortunately, we got to be mouth breathers. But the inhaler is going to clear your airways, and you're going to be able to breathe. So that was life-changing. I was literally dying at night, and I couldn't catch my breath. And I have heard of some breathing exercises that help, and you can kind of train your body, but I just couldn't do it. I'm going to try to enter that kind of phase next year and try to learn to breathe a lot better and maybe control my breathing more. But the inhaler made a really big difference. There was also this other product that was like a nasal drainage tool that I have heard of some people doing really well with. I've never used it, but that's another one. So there's that. What else? Some preventative things are going to be lint rollers. Buy a pack of lint rollers. You want to make sure you aren't dirty and carrying around pet hair, everywhere. Cleanliness is going to be your best friend. So the cleaner you keep things, less dusty, dirt, clean up carpets, things like that, the better off you're going to be. Another thing is going to be an air purifier, if you can afford it. In the bedroom, put an air purifier, helps clean the air, keeps it nice and clean, clear. And that makes a really big difference. Also, cleaning your fans is a super big thing. I don't know, a lot of fans are super dirty, so wiping them down regularly helps just keep everything, less dusty, and you're not breathing all that in. The bed is another big thing. If you have a really old bed, you may want to look into getting it professionally cleaned or vacuumed by someone, hiring somebody. $40-50, maybe 70, totally worth it. And the carpets as well, if you can. But yeah, I noticed that after we would do some deep cleaning, in the beginning you're going to sneeze a lot during the cleaning, so wear a mask. But after, it just makes such a difference. Your breathing just gets a lot better. And then, of course, over-the-counter medication. Now, I don't want to push this one because it can get pretty bad really quickly, and that's what happened to me with some of these. I was taking way too many just to try to overtake the symptoms or try to fight it back. And you can have some really bad side effects. So I don't recommend using these all the time, only in case of an emergency or if you need to go to an event or you really need to alleviate the symptoms, sure. And then which one, you got to try all of them to see which one works best for you, because Claritin didn't really work for me. Zyrtec was pretty good, but it just depends on you. And I know some people where, Mucinex worked for them, so just, again, it totally depends. Mint products help a lot in general. Mint tea, things like that. Something that's very, cool. I don't know what the word is for like those mint products and like for Vicks, what it does. But it makes it breathable. if you have a pet, the lint rollers help a lot, and you should shower them and clean them regularly. And if you can, cut their hair. Safely, of course. Don't cut them. Be careful with clippers. It can cut them if you don't know what you're doing. So just be safe if you are going to cut their hair, because you don't want to cut them or scratch them and torture them. But if you have clippers, I actually cut my cat's hair. I groom them myself because I don't want to take them to a groomer's, and it's actually really hard to find a cat groomer. So if you're like me and you have allergies to cats, but you still have a cat, I actually have gotten to a point where I don't become allergic when I touch a cat. So that's been a really big improvement. I don't become like inflamed or anything. It's very rare actually. So my body has gained some resistance, but I still will sneeze every now and then. So, I trim my cat's hair, make sure it's nice and short and clean. And luckily, she does a really good job as well cleaning herself. So that helps a lot. Here's another one actually. Acupuncture. So this is kind of a little bit more Eastern, ideals, but I've tried it, and I've tried it both periodically and very aggressively, and I found the periodic sessions worked a little bit better. So doing it every few months, maybe 2 to 4 times a year, maybe work best, and it just kind of helps promote blood flow and circulate blood flow to certain areas, especially if you tell them. And I found it really alleviating. Now, when I was doing it really aggressively and having a ton of sessions within a week and even a month, maybe doing 6 to 8 sessions a month, it didn't really make as big of a difference. I don't know what it was, but it just really wasn't helping. So you could try it, see if an aggressive method will work, or if just some periodic, every now and then. But I do think it does help to try it at least a few times a year, or do it at least a few times a year. Another thing, when I'm running, I noticed when I'm working out, I think it's maybe adrenaline or something, but I can breathe a lot better as well. But obviously we're not going to be running when we're sleeping. I guess let me talk about my next step. So now I'm kind of going to do something very extreme and very different. I've heard that if you switch up your diet a little bit even more, you can actually see some improvement. So I'm going to try to avoid acidic foods, and try to maintain like a good pH balance pretty much. And I've heard that can make a difference. I've just seen a few forums that say they've seen, big changes if you switch up your diet. So really what that means is avoiding a lot of processed foods, chips, candy, things like that. And even like processed like meals and things like that. So fast foods and things like that. Try to go for more high quality ingredients in home cooked meals, if that makes sense. So that's going to be my big switch. And also really just trying to be very clean with my eating. So making sure it's well balanced, like majority vegetables, some starches in there for maybe like very minimal though, and then very minimal grains as well, and then maybe like 10% meat, but it's like high quality, but a lot of veggies and especially leafy greens, beans, things like that. So trying to almost have a very boring diet. And yeah, we'll see how that goes though. Maybe I'll provide an update and let you know how it goes. But I think those are my main things that I've done to really mitigate and just kind of alleviate my symptoms and just get a handle on having chronic allergies 24/7, because it's hard. I mean, it's so difficult, and you feel like abnormal, and like no one really understands your suffering. But I think I've actually met one other person that's just like me. So there are people out there. You just need to realize you're not alone, and borrow ideas from others. So that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, to hopefully give other people some help and some tips with things they can do. Yeah, hopefully you found these tips helpful. Oh, I also heard saunas and like sweating it out helps a lot. Just a bonus tip right there. Or like a vapor, some kind of like vapor enclosure helps. But yeah, hopefully you found these tips helpful. I know it's tough, but just be aggressive with it and just try things. I've slowly, gotten much better, and I've seen some improvements. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'm doing it, and I have a cat. Okay, so it's not impossible. Yeah, and if you have any extra tips, let me know in the comments, or anything anyone else might find useful. All right, adios.